How's that? Need a little more volume. All right. Well, it's always good to be here. If we hadn't had a chance to shake your hand, be sure you come up to me sometime before the day is over. And so we will, it's always a pleasure to be here and to see you guys at least once a year when we can. And sorry we missed out last Sunday due to the weather. But here we are today, and hopefully we'll have good turnout here in about another 45 minutes or so. But right now we will start. I'm just going to start class with a prayer, and then we'll just kind of go through our overhead presentation. It's just like always during class. Just feel free to wave your hand or just speak out and ask questions as we go. I do better if I know kind of what you're wanting to do. I tend to ramble, and so be sure you kind of gather me back in with your questions when you need to. So let's begin with prayer, and might even sing a song here in a minute. So, God our Father, we are grateful for this opportunity on the first day of the week to gather as your servants. And we're so mindful of how great you are as we've witnessed over the last several days. We just want to praise you today in what we do and honor you as our Creator, and to not take a single thing for granted. The breath of life and the sunshine and another opportunity to live a day on this great earth that you provided for us in this great state that we are honored to live in. So be with us as we study your word today and find out ways that maybe this congregation can continue their legacy of support of children in need across this state. Let everyone here in this room to be bold and willing to ask questions or express any concerns that they may have as we show you the path that we hope that Southern Christian will maintain. And that's a path that aligns with your will. We're thankful for Christ. We're thankful that you sent him and that you loved us enough for him to make that great sacrifice. Let's always remember that today as we move forward. It's in Jesus' name we pray, and amen. So I'll save some of the introductions for worship service. So this morning I'll be turning around looking at the screen a little bit because I'm in front of the monitor up here. And if I can get everything working, we will roll. What do you think, Gary? It's cold, just got to warm it up. I may only have one more slide for the whole thing. My instructions were to aim it at that receiver right there. What do you think, Guy? If I don't have my pictures, rambling will be on steroids. So, there we go. So one of the things that we want to emphasize is the history of Southern Christian Home. That's a picture of our campus on the right, and a picture in 1950 from sort of the same angle. I didn't realize they had drone photography in those years, but all this really, what I saw right there was we have a new roof. Other than that, it probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you. But we're in the same place we were in 1950, and we're in the same place we were in 1926 when we began our ministry at Southern Christian Home. And so this will be our centennial year, and we'll be working with this congregation over the next few months and trying to celebrate some of those activities. Hopefully you read our newsletter over the last 2 issues that we've put out, and you're following the history of the home through those stories. And so a few of those news booklets are laying around. If you don't get it at your house and you'd like one, be sure to let me know as we move along. So that's the same building back in 1936 is when that photo was taken. And so you'll hear a little bit about our 100-year celebration today as we go through class. We don't celebrate a lot at Southern Christian Home. It's not our nature. We move forward as much as we can, learn from the past, and focus on our children that God brings to us pretty much on a daily basis. This morning, before we get away, 3 of our people that work with us there at the home, 2 are employees, are present with us, and Nancy is here as Rod's spouse. I like to know Rod as, I like to refer to Rod as pre-Nancy and post-Nancy. And so it's sort of the last days of Rod. And so we waited till he got to this point, and Rod Leslie has gone to work for Southern Christian Home there in Morrilton on a full-time basis now. He's worked with us almost full-time since I came in 2019 because he's been one of the youth minister at Downtown Church of Christ in Morrilton for the last 20 years. And so he's well equipped to take care of our kids that God brings to us there in Morrilton. Another thing I'm going to do is go through some advertising here. We are in the need of a director of finance, which is our chief accountant person. It could be anyone in the brotherhood that has a CPA or a master's in accounting would be preferred. So it's a full-time position in Morrilton. Anyone that can travel to Morrilton during the business hours would be perfect for what we need. So you'll hear a little bit about that off and on today. Alex Shelton has been our accountant for the last 6 years, and he will be retiring. And his grandchildren live in Birmingham, Alabama. So that kind of tells you the path that Alex will be on. And so that's a thing that we're going about now in a business way to try to find a person that can fill that position. It's so important. I was afraid you couldn't read the first slide, so I put another slide in there advertising the same thing. We're looking for a director of finance, which is our accountant, which is a key role for us there in Morrilton. One other thing I wanted to talk about, we're going to talk about foster care, and we're going to talk about residential care. We're going to talk about our mission. In the past 2 times I've been here, we talked a lot about emotions in our school and dealing with children that come to us that are in trauma. And that we spend a lot of time looking for the path that they are on so that we can help redirect their thoughts and their desires to a pathway that will align themselves with God our Father. And so as we talk about that, I thought I wouldn't speak and spend so much time on the emotional side of that. I think this congregation is well aware of the emotions that are involved in fostering children and in the residential care that goes on there at Southern Christian Home. And so this photo represents, this is a youth group. They're all college age. They come out of St. Louis, Missouri. And it's called the Acts Group. And it's led by the Liberty Church of Christ elders up in St. Louis. They have full-time campus ministers that bring this group to us. And they deal They come on a community service type basis to help us with projects, different activities we might have. But we allow this group to work with our kids during the school session, during the traditional school hours, and especially in the evenings as they do different activities in the form of VBS type classes or just simple activities. Right there, they're on Pettigene Mountain, fixing to do a hike with some of our kids. And that's where relationships are built. So as you know, this church is built on relationships. Christ ministry was built on relationships. And so Southern Christian Home is built on relationships and how we build those. Whether we're talking about children to children, peer to peer, or whether we're talking about house parents to children, whether we're talking about staff and supervising house parents, whether we're talking about staff and interaction amongst each other. As you all know, I don't have to explain it to you. Everything's built on relationships and emotions. So that's the inside of our gymnasium there in Morrilton. And that actually is the Acts group as well. But this year we have about 4 groups. We always try to have at least 4, and we could probably have 8 to 12 if we had enough time. But the 14 weeks of summer and spring break, we usually have a group from somewhere in Arkansas or somewhere in a neighboring state that comes and works with the kids on a different relationship. And so this year we have the Acts group coming back. We have the high school youth group from Texas A&M Church of Christ. A lot of times everyone thinks they're the Aggies for Christ, but the Aggies for Christ are actually the college kids, and the kids that come and help us are the youth program at the Church of Christ there in College Station. And so they come and spend about a week with us as well. This year we have the Razorbacks for Christ coming down to work a week, or maybe just be 3 days this year. And then we always have the youth program at the Robinson and Center Church of Christ in Conway, Arkansas, that works closely with us on a monthly basis, but they actually come as an overnight group one time during the summer. Then we do our church camps and all of our other activities that we have during those 14 weeks of summer. So each cottage goes on a cottage vacation, and each kid will probably attend a church camp of one sort, at least, if not more, during the summer. So the key to getting through the summer weeks is keep them busy. It's just like children in your home as well. Young people care. A lot of times we hear bad news about where our children are headed. That young lady there in the middle graduated from Little Rock Christian Schools. And when she did, she had written 30 devotionals. She put them in a spiral book, and it was for the kids at Southern Christian Children's Home so that they would have a month of devotional studies. And she also brought with us a box of books that we put in our library. So I just want you to know there's many young people out there, and I know there's young people here that have expressed to me their care and concern for children that are in need in Arkansas. And I can assure you the church is alive and will always be, and there are great young people in our community that still reach out and understand the principles that God teaches us. This is one of our girls in the kitchen at our school. And this semester, we stopped providing lunches for the kids that are in our school, our one-room classroom that we have there on campus. And they prepare their own lunch for staff many times and for people, volunteers that we use in our school. With Rod's presence now, they've started a gratitude lunch where volunteers and different people in our community can come. And the kids that are in our school actually prepare lunch for themselves and those guests. So that's just part of the educational program that's now expanded to where they're learning to care for themselves. That's a part of the baking school I put on there. You can't really read that cake very well. You might can. But that's Eden, and she prepared a cake, a dessert for that day, and she actually put 100 years on there. We were talking about the centennial, I think, at that time. So another thing that happens from time to time is these celebration moments. Anissa's really good at putting together gatherings and different game night type events for our staff and the children that are in care. One thing we can do at Southern Christian Home is we can cook. Anissa can cook, and Rod can cook. If you guys know Rod's parents, Chuck and Donna Kay Leslie from Morrilton, Arkansas, those people, we know how to express hospitality. And so I hope you'll have an opportunity to come to Morrilton, especially during homecoming on May 2nd. That's Saturday, and witness a lunch that day and the activities and celebration at the Children's Home. This is Xavier, and we don't really publicize this a lot, but he is a senior in Morrilton. We've had him, he's not a senior, he's a junior. He's a junior, he should be a senior because he's in our school. If our school would do what I asked him to do, he would be a senior. But I just said that because these three people are sitting here. So I apologize for that in front of everyone. But X is doing a good job there with us. If you want to go online, you can see a video about X and his relationship with our culture that he grew up in and where he is now and how appreciative he is. X is suffering from Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so that's why he looks the way he looks in the picture. I don't announce that. I've never announced that, actually. But I wanted you to see the picture of him. They purchased this cake for him that day. It says happy birthday on there. So he's able to be in our classroom because we have such a small population of students. And so he's finished his first round of chemo, and he feels much better. It's a large mass in the middle of his chest, and he's now undergoing radiation. And so he goes to Little Rock. I think radiation's every week. Chemo used to be every other week. But he is, doctor's prognosis is very good. So we feel like that they will be able to completely remove the cancer from this young man. And the thing that's important is how much he's taught us, how much he's taught our house parents, how much he's taught me as the director, how much he's taught our entire staff, how much he's taught our church. He now runs the audio booth for the Perryville Church of Christ because in our minds we need to keep him isolated from germs and people. So they thought we'll put him in the booth. So now he runs the worship services electronically for the Perryville Church of Christ. So I hope God is in control of everything that happens, and I believe that with all my heart. And X has been a true example to each one of us, and I hope we've blessed him as well. So your resources go to that. Your resources help us. We're able to make those trips. We don't have to worry about staff. We don't have to worry about financial resources to pay for that cost of transporting back and forth. And it's because of individuals and churches like this one. There's a picture of Rod and Nancy. I told Rod I wanted to do his whole family because his family are pretty people. Nancy, she's the shortest. I think she's shorter than Lauren. But you see Nancy there in the middle, and then his son, Ethan. That's Rod with hair. And then on the far, it'd be your far right, is Hannah Kay. And they're both married now. Hannah Kay lives in Northwest Arkansas. And Ethan, they actually live in where? What'd you say? Jonesboro, Arkansas. So they have a great family, and I just wanted you to see that family. And now Rod and Nancy are in a season of life where they can now redirect and focus on the ministry of Southern Christian Children's Home. Nancy works in Danville, and she is a activities director there in Danville. So she makes the trek over here on those days. Anyway, they're great people and be a great resource to us at Southern Christian, and especially the kids in care. And they've worked with our kids, like I said, for the last number of years that I've been here, and I think many years before that as well. So, some statistics. Doug's here. We got to do some stats, and just to keep everyone present, everybody's still awake. Statewide, I thought this was interesting. The number of children in care, which means those are the number of kids that are actually belong to the state of Arkansas. At the end of, I think this was the middle of January, there's 3,365 kids in care in the state of Arkansas in the foster care system. And we have 1,824 homes, and those homes equate to 3,429 beds. So based on those numbers right there, we have we have more beds across the state of Arkansas than we have children in need. In 2020, when I first came, the numbers looked like that right-hand column. 4,419, 1,500 homes, and 3,364 beds. So I used to come in here and say we're short about 1,100 beds for kids every night in Arkansas. According to the Department of Human Services and DCFS, the Division of Children and Family Services, we now have more beds than we have kids in need. And that's an accounting perspective of the state of Arkansas. Other numbers that we have, like for example, you guys are in Area 2. I never have really talked in this much detail with you. But you're in Area 2 of DCFS. And when you look at Area 2, there are 571 children in care in Area 2. And Area 2 is Crawford County, Franklin County, Johnson County, Logan, Scott, Yale, and Sebastian. So it's this far central west side of Arkansas along the I-40 corridor. In Crawford County, you guys have more beds in Crawford County than are needed for the kids in care. Y'all have 89 beds and you have 69 kids. And so kids don't have to stay in their county. And so when you look at statewide, we have enough beds. But when you look at certain areas, there's certain areas that have more need than others. And obviously the two largest areas of need in the state are Pulaski County, which is Little Rock, Arkansas, and Sebastian County, which is Fort Smith. And so Fort Smith only has about half. They have exactly half enough beds to care for the kids in Sebastian County. So because of that, a lot of our kids come from Sebastian County. We get a lot of referrals from Sebastian County. We get a lot of referrals from Pulaski County. And so that's kind of the way the referral process works. In Southern Christian Home, we've grown to about where we've taken in and processed and housed about 40 kids this year. But we only have overnight, last night, we have 10 in our residential care. And then now we have foster homes around the state where we house other children. And so there's really two programs going on. The campus, the traditional campus that you're all familiar with for residential care, where we bring the kids from these outside counties into Morrilton, and we put them in school in Morrilton. We put them in our classwork, and we go to work with them. We have a capacity of 28 beds for that campus. And then we're developing foster homes across Arkansas as we go. So to just show you how the activity works, last year we received 371 calls from the Division of Children and Family Services for kids that needed a place to live. Out of that total, 154 of them, a little less than half, were ages 0 to 13. So 217 of them are ages 14 to 18. And when you look at gender, the 371 is almost exactly half. Half are boys, half are girls. And so the biggest need is teenagers. And you need to be able to take care of boys and girls. And so that's what we do at Southern Christian Children's Home. Without any reimbursement from the state of Texas for that residential care, we still place those kids in our cottages there at the farm and there in town in Morrilton. When you look down through the numbers, more kids, there's more referral requests in the month of June, and the largest is October. So it kind of calms down. It all happens around the start and stop of school, and a lot of times there's a lot of movement around the holiday season. So that's what our people do. Anissa and Charlie and Reagan, they service those calls. And if we can't help them, we try to send them to we make referrals ourselves. Y'all have any questions over those numbers? Or? We do both. I mean, the long term, like X will be with us till he ages out. We have a capacity to handle. The question is do we do long-term care or is it all foster care? I think is the way it was termed. Foster care can be care that will turn into long-term. And that's the plan that you place them with. So we have 8 foster homes now across Arkansas. And I'll speak to here. I'll just go ahead and talk about it. Lonnie and Ashley are the foster parents here. You guys know. I think y'all know more about this than I do. And so those foster care situations many times are supported with sponsor families. So we have 16 sponsor families that sponsor our 8 foster homes across Arkansas, just like here, and support families. And then we have And hopefully that is a list of families that can eventually become foster families. And then if a foster family is not going to be sustainable, in other words, they're not going to just continue to foster kids, work what's called a biological reunification program with the state of Arkansas so that you can now place those children back with their biological mother. And then when that happens, that foster home remains open and we bring them another set or sibling group of foster children and we do it again. That would be a sustainable foster home in my mind. A lot of times foster homes convert into adoptive parents. And then when that happens, we chalk that up as a win. And children find a permanent placement. And then you just have to pray and continue that they can grow in the love of the Lord through the support of that foster family that we've placed them with. So, any other questions on fostering? So at Southern Christian, we do both. Anissa is our foster care recruiting person. And then we have caseworker, Miss Reagan Maxwell, who is the caseworker for all of our kids on our campus there in Morrilton. And our leader is Charlie Arnold. He's the director of Children's Services. So I like to do raw things sometimes. So my name is Gary, but Anissa will be the one. She's already corrected me. It's not a sponsor family. It's a support family. And so she's the one that you'll work with. And this is the one that works with Ashley and Lonnie. Works with the support families that support them. She was in Bentonville Friday night and spoke at a ladies' conference there at the Bentonville Church of Christ that took place Friday and Saturday. So she's here this morning on her way back to Morrilton. And she's sitting up here with Rod and Nancy. So we're trying to build these homes across Arkansas. So we have them in Harrison, Camden, Benton, Mountain Home is a big group. And all these areas kind of correlate with the 10 areas that DCFS works. And so we need more, even though our chart shows that we have more beds than we need more beds in Area 2 and in Crawford County. So if you know of anyone, we can support any family that we can place children with. So our churches can be the support family for any family that you might find that are interested in caring for kids that are in need. Any other questions on foster? We had 13 baptisms in 2025. And so Rod and Nancy in the Downtown Church of Christ does a phenomenal job in working with our kids on campus. If we bring 16 of our children into a youth group, it can kind of change the atmosphere of our youth group. And so we work closely with our youth ministers at our churches where we attend, and we're always trying to educate and empower them with knowledge and working with these kids that have these extremes. And if you believe in Maslow's theory of needs hierarchy, the most important thing in establishing a spiritual relationship with a person is that they're comfortable enough in their own skin and that they can trust individuals and that they have shelter and they have clothing. They have a warm place to be And they have the food that is necessary so they're not always feeling hungry. And once you establish that level of trust and care, then their minds are probably capable of handling a spiritual relationship with God our Father. So we have to take that into consideration as we deal with education and housing. I don't want to say it takes a back burner to what we do, because it doesn't. We have a chapel every Monday through Friday at school, and then we teach the gospel through devotionals within the cottage, and then they attend services at the 3 congregations or 2, just depends on where we are in the year. On Sundays and Wednesday night, they participate in Lads to Leaders, and they participate in all these activities that our people are in with these 4 groups that visit. They attend camp at least once 1 week a summer. And so it's a constant. We talk to our staff constantly about what they exemplify to these kids is the best tool in teaching. And if we can get their hearts to the feet of Jesus, we know that God is able. So, I think I'm out of slides. Let's see what I didn't tell you. There's 12 ways to give. I don't have to tell this church about giving, but I do need to say it because they pay me to raise funds for the home. So there's some handouts in the foyers, both sides of the building, on different ways to give. But it's great to be here. I hope your building program continues and goes well. It speaks to the spiritual growth that is present here when you see physical growth at the same time. And so this is a great church, and I cherish your prayers and your encouragement from the very first day that I was here until this past weekend when we got to speak many times via text. And they were concerned about me getting on the road when it may not be necessary. So, any other questions before we close? Here we go.
Don't your foster parents have to be licensed?
Foster parents are licensed and trained.
Through us. We do all of it. We do their training, we do their education, we maintain their licensure all year.
Therefore, you get state aid.
No, they can get state aid for that, but we provide all of that internally through Southern Christian.
And to answer that, the question was, are our foster parents licensed? The answer is yes. And Anissa and her team does all that training. We do that through Southern Christian Home. The other question was, do we get state aid for that? We will receive any state funding that is available out there, and we view it as good stewardship. If the state wants to provide us resources, vouchers for clothes, vouchers for Little League Baseball, if they want to reimburse us for medical services, we take it. We take federal funds, but not federal, state funds. The state funds are reimbursed by the federal government to the state of Arkansas. So, but we in no way are going to jeopardize our ability to teach Christianity. We can monitor what type of foster home we want to open. We can train foster families and not open it. We can deflect that to another agency if necessary. But we don't want to be somebody that blocks an opportunity for a child to be in a safe place, to find warmth and housing. We want to be someone that encourages that. And so we do take state funds when they're available to us. So I don't want to say we don't, but they don't tell us what to do. We have to stay in compliance with the state of Arkansas. Charlie and Anissa, they just got their last report where we very rarely have any deficiency from the Department of Licensing at Southern Christian. This last time we made 100. And so with Charlie's experience and Miss Anissa's experience and Reagan's knowledge, we don't have issues with the state of Arkansas, and they know who we are. And with our current governor and current mindset in Little Rock, Arkansas is a very friendly Christian state when it comes to caring for children specifically. So,
do you send the children to public education, or are you more of a homeschool type model?
we send all of our foster kids, according to the rules, are enrolled in public schools. And so when we bring a child from Pulaski County or Sebastian, the first thing we do the first morning is they're enrolled at South Conway County School District in Morrilton. And they immediately assign them to our classroom on our campus because they live with us. And then we will immediately start an assessment process, which they go to the Morrilton Medical Clinic for physical exam, eye exams. Our chairman of our board is an optometrist there in Morrilton, Judd Adams, and they immediately see these people as we try to maintain and manage their medications, which is key to the beginning of this process. Then we have a contract with Therapy Monkey so that they can come in. Those occupational, speech, and physical therapists can evaluate. The doctors obviously evaluate. We have a contract with CSI, Community Services, Inc., for our mental health and psychological evaluations, and we've hired that staff of people, even though they work for CSI or they work for Therapy Monkey. So Therapy Monkey is a pediatric clinic. It's on our campus, and we've hired those therapists ourselves, and they see our children as a priority. A lot of times foster kids get pushed to the back. And so that assessment process starts right away. But technically, they're in the public school. And the public school and school board embrace that relationship. So, but all those things, when we talk about federal funding, state funding, public school, it could change. So keep us in your prayers. Right now, it's perfectly fine.
The psychologist that you have, is he or she on site, or do you send the children? Yeah, because I'm sure that a lot of these kids have had some kind of trauma or really bad things have happened. Do you have the psychologist on site?
Our psychologist actually works for CSI. He is not on our campus, but he is a 5-minute drive from our campus. And we've worked with him for many years. Our staff, Charlie and Anissa, we are strong enough that we can dictate what we want to use for the development of our kids. So we take all this assessment from our occupational therapist, our mental health therapist, our teachers in our school are employees of the school district, but we've hired them. And so they are doing our program, and we use all those resources to build the case plan for that child that aligns with what we believe God wants for them to do. And so that's the way we work.
The mental health therapist that works with most of our kids is on our campus. She's physically on our campus at least 2 days a week, and she comes in on special days as well. So,
But the doctor is over in the other building. Right, I think we're going to stop, and we'll have church. Thanks for your attention.